Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I am going to be talking about skincare and treatments, and that is something that I really want to start documenting on my own blog and YouTube channel and Instagram, because I have been going to a place called the Woodford Medical Clinic for about 2 years now, and I've never really taken you along with me. I've never really spoken about the treatments that I get there. And I thought it was about time. And I know from my experience when I was researching where to go, just what a minefield it is. I was so confused about where to book, who was reputable. Everyone is offering everything at the moment and you don't know who to trust. And it was actually someone who recommended the Woodford Medical Clinic to me, and her skin is amazing. So immediately I started researching them, and I actually found out that they are one of the top 10 injectables in the UK. And ever since my first consultation, I have felt at home there, and the ladies are so lovely, it's unreal. You can tell that they really care about what your skincare goals are, and they just really want to help you achieve them, which is amazing. And they are the type of clinic, if you went in and asked for something specifically, they're not just going to take your money and perform the treatment if you don't actually need it. They will give you skin analysis tests to actually see what your skin is like, if you need certain treatments, so you really know that you can trust them, which is what I love about them the most. I've been really excited to start documenting my journey with them, and I'm going to cover a few things. Firstly, Botox and fillers, which are two of the most talked about treatments, and I feel like everyone has different questions, worries, concerns. There are just so many horror stories out there that it puts a lot of people off, and I feel like there's a lot of negativity around Botox and fillers, but when performed correctly by the right person, it's actually a really positive treatment. So that is what I'm going to be documenting, and I'm also going to be documenting my skincare journey. Now, I have adult acne, and I've had it for probably like over a few years, but I haven't really done anything about it. I've been stupidly buying every on-trend product I can get, trying different oils, different creams, not really having a proper skincare routine, and nothing has been helping. So thankfully Woodford Medical have offered to help me with my skin. So a dream of mine is to have clear skin and not have to worry when I'm not wearing makeup. So they're really going to help me achieve that, which I'm so excited about. So that's going to be all in another video coming up soon, but today I'm focusing on Botox and fillers. So a little background about Woodford Medical. As I said, they're one of the top 10 injectables in the UK, and they were founded by two lovely doctors, Dr. Hilary, Allan and Dr. Mervyn, Patterson, who have both been named in the top 10 aesthetic doctors in the UK, which is amazing. And I actually sat down with Dr. Hilary Allan a few weeks ago, and I asked on my Instagram if you had any questions for me to ask her, and I was blown away by the response. I received so many questions, and I narrowed them down to about 10, and we had an amazing conversation, and I filmed it. So I'm going to show you that now, and if there are any questions that I've missed, or if you want me to ask Dr. Hilary, I will be seeing her soon. So just leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure that I get back to you with the answers. And in my next video, I'm actually going to be showing you me getting Botox done and lip fillers. So I filmed the entire process, all the close-up details, so I'll be showing that in my next video. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Dr. Hilary, and I will see you in my next video. Right, so Botox.
So the vast majority of people who come to see me initially to have some Botox, or because they're a little bit concerned, usually because of their frown. Mm-hmm. So they talk about the number 11s, or absolutely, in your forehead, between the eyes, that makes them look cross. A lot of people might comment, oh, you know, are you angry, are you cross, or it's a very negative emotion, isn't it, when you're frowning? Yeah. So that would be the commonest thing people would come for. And then the other thing would be forehead lines, so the horizontal lines across the forehead. And those two different lines come from different muscle groups that are producing different movements. Mm-hmm. Okay, the two muscles that produce those different movements are actually balanced. Okay, so in the body we have groups of muscles, and every muscle has one that's opposite to it, producing a different movement. So in the face we have corrugator, which is a very strong muscle, which basically forms the main basis of the frown. Mm-hmm. And then we have frontalis, a much weaker muscle, which is the muscle that you raise your eyebrows with. Okay, and what we call worry lines. Okay, so we can use Botox in those groups to change their balance. So if you take out someone's frown, which is, in most cases, everyone can live without a frown. Mm-hmm. You don't need to frown, you know, we can look nice and relaxed in most situations. That's a very strong movement that is going down in the face. So it's bringing things down heavy over the eyes. And that's working against a weaker muscle, frontalis, which is trying to lift. So if you can imagine, if you take away that strong pull downwards, then suddenly this muscle gets a lot more energy and life and starts to lift. It's much stronger because it's not working against anything anymore. So you can affect a lift over the eyebrows. And it's something that I would use a lot in older ladies because as we age, gravity plays its part and everything tends to go a little bit downwards. So you get a heaviness over the eyes, and you can actually freshen and open the face out just by using a little bit of Botox in the frown area. Not even doing anything on the forehead
at all. It can make such a difference.
It can make a really big difference. And sometimes I look at the befores and after photos with my customers, and it's hard to put your finger on the difference, but there's just a freshening of the eyes. The eyes suddenly look brighter, and so it does make a lovely difference. If you have forehead lines, obviously then we can use the Botox in the forehead carefully, because you don't want to weaken it so much that you don't get any lift at all, and you also don't want to look frozen. If you overuse Botox, you end up with a very false, frozen, fake look.
It's like a shiny look, isn't it?
A lot of people talk about shining. When you take a photo, you can see, ooh, shiny forehead.
Yeah,
that looks
and is
really
that
nice.
just because it's so smooth?
Yes, that's exactly it. It's so smooth. You've got absolutely no movement going on there at all. Normally, muscle groups that are affected by Botox, when they haven't got Botox in them, they're doing this sort of, getting a few little impulses from the nerves. When you put Botox in and you stop the message from the nerve completely, the muscle literally just relaxes out like this. There's no activity going on at all, and that's why you get that lack of any movement and a sort of shiny smoothness to the skin. Now, some people like that. We are all different.
I can imagine some people get addicted to it.
They can be a little bit addicted in the sense that the minute they see any movement coming back at all, they want to have all their Botox done again. And those would be the people who would come at 3 monthly intervals. You shouldn't really have Botox more frequently than 3 monthly, and the reason for this is that you can develop a resistance to it. It's something called tachyphylaxis. I've never seen it in one of my customers because I'm quite strict with how frequently I would do the treatments. You can build up antibodies to it, which means that when you put it in, eventually there'll be no effect from it. It's unusual, but it's the reason we say 3 monthly. But the vast majority of my customers actually come every 4 months, 5 months, and sometimes 6 months. Because as you have it more and more, certainly in the frown area, the frown can be a habit, and if you break that habit and you don't frown, when you look in the mirror you still think you look relaxed, so you don't actually need to have your Botox for a while.
Okay, well, one of the other questions was if you do stop having the Botox, does it make your skin worse? Does it bring the wrinkles out more?
So again, it's a frequently asked question. Same with fillers actually. People say, if I stop and I can't keep it going, will I look 10 times worse? Everything suddenly come back. It's absolute fallacy. If you have Botox once, I always say to them, you'll be 3 or 4 months better off than if you never had it at all. Okay, it's relaxing the area, it's stopping that skin from being crumpled up, so therefore you're getting an improvement in the look of the skin. If you don't have it again, the movement just gradually returns and you go back to aging at the same process that you would have done before. And exactly the same with fillers. If you have them once, they last a year, 18 months. In actual fact, hyaluronic acid fillers that I would use, we know through research that they stimulate your own body to produce more collagen. So they're actually good in an area, and I have had people who I've done a treatment in a certain area in the face, nasolabials being a common one, that it's never come back as bad.
Oh, brilliant.
So and they've only ever had it once or twice. So that gives you long-term resolution of a problem. I'm not saying that that's going to happen in anybody, but it's occasionally happening. But you certainly aren't worse off. You're always going to be a year better off because you've looked after the area.
So these lines here, would you say, is that for fillers, not Botox? Yes,
I would tend to, so my prescribed areas for using Botox, and usually pretty standard textbook stuff, is in the frown, in the forehead for the forehead lines, around the eyes for the laughter lines, or crow's feet, which is very unattractive, so I tend to use laughter lines. And then I do some work in the lower face with it. I do a muscle that pulls the corner of the mouth down, okay, here, depressor anguli oris, and if you if you weaken this one, there's another muscle that's doing the opposite movement at the top.
Okay.
You allow that to be a little bit stronger. So some people, you find the mouth starts to turn down. It can just help to lift the mouth a little bit.
Okay.
I also use it along, just under the jawline here and into what we call the platysmal bands in the neck.
Yeah.
And this can help to soften these lines, and it can help to just tighten the jawline a little bit.
So it creates more of like a definition in the jaw.
Yes, that's
that's
exactly it.
becoming quite popular.
Yeah, people notice they get a little bit of a sagginess under the chin, and they just get a little bit of a sagginess here. And by interfering with muscle balance again in the jawline area, so you've got muscles that are lifting and this big muscle platysma that's pulling down, you can just redefine that jawline a little bit. You can't use too much, you can't go overboard with it, and you have to understand what you're doing. So this would be an advanced area for Botox, that you have to understand what you're doing. You use too much, Botox diffuses, you can affect things like the swallowing. Okay, it's important you don't do that. So you have to really use the prescribed dose of Botox appropriately. People who have a concern about Botox, they often come in and say, "Oh, I don't like the idea of Botox. It's a poison." And I just say to them, "Well, so is paracetamol in the wrong dose, but we're using it here in a medical prescribed dosage, and therefore it's safe." If it's not used in that way, then it becomes unsafe.
I think that's another misconception as well, that it's stuck in your face, as soon as you put it, especially with fillers and lip fillers. I mean, a lot of people say, yeah, but what if 5 years down the road you don't want lip fillers anymore? But they would have dissolved naturally.
They would have dissolved naturally, absolutely right. If, you know, and again, this is another reason that I would use hyaluronic acid fillers, and I use the Juvederm range because I think it ticks all the boxes as far as I'm concerned. You can dissolve it. There are fillers out there that you can't dissolve. I would never use them. Because safety is paramount importance. If you're injecting something into the face, certainly. If you're doing deeper structure work with cheek lifts and jawline work with fillers, you need to know that if you do anything with a blood vessel that's wrong, that you can dissolve that filler and it doesn't cause long-term damage.
And your body naturally dissolves the filler in your lips, right? Over time?
Just gradually as worn away. So it doesn't build up. There's another misconception with Botox in particular, it's build up into your brain. But I mean, it's been around medically for 50, 60 years. You know, we used it in the early days. They use it with, well, they still do with children with cerebral palsy who have muscle spasms, to relax them and allow them to work on their joints. We now use it for squints in the eyes, in the gut, in the bladder. There's lots of areas that it's used. So medically it's been around for a long time. Cosmetically it's been around for about 30 years. So we know there's a whole heap of evidence behind it that says there isn't a problem with Botox. You know, it lasts for about 3 or 4 months, then it goes. It's not going to cause you any long-term harm. And I've been in practice for 20 years using it for about that period of time. And a lot of my customers are still coming back to see me, and they're now in their 80s, some of them, and they're still absolutely fine. So that's sort of reassuring.
And I think another one of the main questions I received was, out of all the treatments that you offer, what is the best for anti-aging? And I know that's quite
vast. I mean, my most popular treatment by a long way is Botox. So I think if you are on a limited budget, okay, if you have all the money in the world, well then you can do all sorts of things. If you've got a limited budget, but you just want to keep yourself looking nice and fresh, then Botox ticks that box. And maybe a little bit of filler, because remember, filler's only done once a year, once every 18 months. It's a little bit more at the time, but if you spread it out monthly, it's probably about £50 a month. It's not a lot. If you think how much people spend on skincare and makeup and all those sort of things.
Concealers to hide all the
and you can see the improvement. So you know, there are people where you would do loads and loads of work if they had the pocket. Majority of my customers, they have a limited budget, and so we do what we can within that, and they still get good satisfaction, good improvement in confidence and self-esteem, and it's right for them.
Perfect. And one of the other questions was about pills. Yes. So can you achieve the same results at home with a product that
you buy over the counter?
Exactly.
I would say no. I think I'd have to say no. It's very unlikely. It's a bit like skincare products promising that they're going to get rid of all your lines. My way of thinking is you should actually come and see a specialist, like a clinic like this, where you have people who are trained, they have a lot of knowledge in skin and the aging process. Have some treatments which will reverse that process a bit, and then go home and use your skincare for maintenance. Okay, so that's your bit of the whole process. If you're just trying to start that process with skincare, you're really not going to see a lot. You're going to end up chopping and changing skincare products, spending a lot of money and never really getting anywhere. And it's the same with peels. The percentage of acid, so the strength of the acid that is used in the peel, for it to be available over the counter with all our guidelines and training standards, etc., and safety in this country, it can only be very, very low strength. So it's only going to do a very small amount for you. Whereas if you come along, you see the therapist, they'll be able to use something that's much stronger, so it's much more effective, but they can also observe when you're having that peel done, anything that's happening to your skin. Because you can get a reaction. If you're at home and you really don't know what to look for, then it could cause you problems. So it may be that you have a few peels in the salon or in the medical clinic, and then you go home and you have something that they suggest you use at home. Well, that's a bit like using the skincare. So that's okay, but to just do it with nothing else, I think is a little bit risky.
It's always best to have a natural therapist look at your skin as well.
I think it is.
What's best.
I think it is. Unfortunately, there are lots of beauty therapists out there, and some are good and some aren't as good, and they're always trying to promote their latest, cure-all. So I think going with an open mind, going with a budget that you want to spend, and be very specific about the problem that you have, and then just do it gradually. Don't get sold lots of different things all at the same time. So don't say, well, you come in this week, and then once you've done that, go into something else. Just take it cautiously and carefully, and if you feel that you're not getting the results with the money you've spent, stop and reevaluate.